How are you?
Good. I'm not Claire. I'm trying to change my name.
Oh.
Sometimes
uh,
it does that where it logs me in and says I'm Claire, but
oh, okay. Is
sorry.
there
How
any
are you
Claire
doing?
at all?
What?
Is there any Claire at all, or
So
is it just?
James's wife's name is Claire. She's the
Ah,
owner
okay.
of this Zoom, so sometimes it
Oh, okay. That makes
reverts
sense.
it reverts back.
Yes.
Yes.
Very nice.
Um, okay, so I don't know if you got some of my emails today. I was trying to finalize the affiliate links
Yep.
because some of the logins required things that I personally don't have access to.
Yep.
So I was trying to get these from Claire, but I didn't get them from her in time, which was like a
Yeah,
PayPal
not a big deal.
link.
It's not a
And
big deal.
okay. And then it was like the EIN, which I also didn't have.
Hmm.
I asked them to do it, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I think I have the link for open letter. I don't know if you want to put them in the chat for me, but like, or if you just want to share them later,
Yeah.
but
Yep. It's
um,
on the last. It's on the last piece of the slide.
okay, excellent.
So I can send it to you though. It is openlettermarketing.com/project RE,
Yep. Okay. I
and
have that one in
then
my chart.
project RE, for 10% off on first order.
Yep.
So yeah, I have that covered in the last slide, I believe.
Great.
So we're going to get a little bit into deep diving into pulling from the county too.
Okay.
Um, so I'll do a little bit of a walkthrough exactly how they do it.
Awesome.
And I have some examples and stuff like that. So it's going to be a fun webinar.
Great. Do you want to try to share your screen?
Yeah.
Test that out.
Yep. I'm going to share just the desktop because I'm going to be going back and forth between slides and between examples and Google and all that stuff.
Yep.
So if I don't, for some reason, let me just see. Can you still see the presentation?
Yep, I can.
Okay, cool. Because sometimes when I do the presentation and go over to like a PDF, you might not see the PDF. So if you see that happening and I'm like, and here's the PDF, and you're like, I can't see it, just let me
Yeah,
know.
perfect. Um, I am just sending a text to some people because our auto text, we sent it twice, but it didn't go out. They still have the link on the website, but some people like wait for that to come.
Got
And so
it.
I'm just like manually trying to text a few people and be like, people who mentioned to me that they wanted to come on this, like, here's the link if you
Okay.
didn't get it somehow. So I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ignore you. I just want to make sure they
No,
know
no, you're good.
that it's happening. Um,
And I'm taking this from the call from my house, so if you hear crazy kids in the background, I try to tell them to be quiet, but
oh,
whenever I
you're
can.
fine. I have three crazy kids. Somehow none of them are home. I got really, really
Oh,
lucky
wow.
today. Um, and yeah, one of them decided to she's helping like paint a mural at her old school, and then two of them are
Oh, that's super cool.
yeah, and I'm like, this is great.
Wow. That's awesome. All right. And with the webinar, do you like save this into their resources so they can go
Yes.
back to it? Okay,
Yeah, so this
cool.
gets saved on our website. So yeah, even if we don't have that many people on the call, they can still watch the video later.
Okay. And I can send you the slide deck because there's some links and stuff
Okay.
like that
Yeah.
that people will likely want to get access to.
Perfect. That'd be great.
Is this a webinar or is this a meeting?
It's just a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I'll wait like one more minute and then I'll let a couple people in if they're on the thing. Let's see. Okay, I see the link. And then are you going to give an Envelo link too?
Um, I can. I wasn't sure. I know we didn't do anything with affiliate, but I can make sure that we can set it up very quickly.
Yeah.
Um,
If you can, that'd be great. Might as well.
do I have I don't have an affiliate link for you yet for Envelo. Affiliate.enveloapp.com. So, I mean, if I can send this to you and you can create one very quickly.
So I tried to
Uh,
do this. The issue is
oh,
that I couldn't finish because Claire, it's supposed to be under her email, but she never confirmed you know how it like asks you to confirm your email? She never did that, so it didn't finish.
oh.
Yeah.
Hold on
But
a
I
second.
mean, if we want to set it up right now under my email, I guess it's
Let me
fine.
just yeah, maybe just sign up with yours first. So it's affiliate.enveloapp.com. I'm gonna go in and let me just see if I can bypass that. So put that over here.
I'll sign out of what I created and then I'll just go to create an account and I'll do it under my name.
Bars. What is her email?
Claire with no E at Heaton Daynard. Do you want me to spell the
No, let me just see if I can do Claire because there's not too many Claires, I don't think. Claire, here we go. Review. Hmm.
I'm gonna start letting them in, but you can still work on that because I'm gonna still let them have a few minutes to.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. All right, guys. Just letting people start joining. We are getting all set up with our different links for you guys right now. And yeah, I'm excited. This is gonna be a good one. I have done some direct mail, but not a ton, so I wouldn't say I'm an expert or anything, but I have a little bit of a sense of what it is. And I know that it's expensive and you don't want to do it wrong. That I know.
Absolutely.
And so we want to learn how to do it right. I also know that I pay a lot of money to wholesalers, and if I find my own deals, then I save that money. So yeah, it's gonna be good. Okay, we'll give one more minute for people to jump in. Has anybody else done any direct mail before? Michael, you have you? You're on mute.
I have. I didn't have great success, and it was expensive.
Yep.
I was a realtor like 15 years ago, and I did a lot of direct mails, and I did have some success.
Yep.
Uh, but I stopped that many years ago when I got out of real estate when everything fell apart. And
Yeah.
so I've been reluctant to start it up because you can't just dip. You have to stay with it in order for it to be successful in repeating getting in front of the people that you're trying to get in front of.
Exactly. I mean, we'll learn how many it takes, but what I've heard is it takes a lot more than like one touch to be able to
Yeah, 6 to 8
get it
or more.
done. So yeah, you really gotta do it for a while, which is why most people don't. But if you do and you're consistent, then it can
I'm looking for
work.
good ways to. Um, I'm going to try to use AI. I have to learn the right questions, but I've been afraid to put the wrong list together, so I haven't acted.
Mm.
No.
Well, we will talk about that today.
Yes, we will. Absolutely.
Um, one second, guys. Okay. There we go. All right, Justin, you should have what you need on your end, I think.
Okay, let me take a look. Here we go.
Okay. Oh, it looks like Bree did some direct mail before.
There we go.
I know she's traveling, so she might not be able to go and tell us about it, but
Just gonna stop sharing for 1 second.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually just go and drop them off at people's houses in my neighborhood because there's so many cute houses and when
You're breaking up a little, but you go drop them off.
yeah, sorry, I'm on a ferry and there's like some zones.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, it's a good method, especially since if you're in your neighborhood. Love it. All right, I'm going to turn this over to Justin. So we are going to talk today about direct mail, how to maximize your ROI. Like I said, it's not the cheapest way to go. It's definitely worth it if you get even one deal out of it. But if you do it right, then it can be a continuous method to get your deal flow going and not have to rely on other sources for your deals. So I'm going to turn it over to Justin.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Shannon.
Yeah.
For those that don't know who I am, I have been an investor since 2010. I started open letter marketing in 2016 because I had a direct mail approach that was unlike, any other investor had, and I was getting a lot of great success with it. And many people that followed kind of my journey, I had a big blog and stuff like that. They were asking, how are you doing direct mail? So I had a very specific strategy on what I was doing to really build my lead generation, and that is kind of when open letter marketing was born in 2016. Today we've worked with, I think, over 3,000 investors throughout the country, and we continue to do that to help them refine, strategize, and really provide them with direct mail. In 2022, I also launched Invelo, which is a CRM platform that spans an investor's full sales cycle. So we have, list builder, CRM, marketing, in-app marketing. We have workflows, KPIs, and analytics. So that's kind of my journey. I love real estate investing. So any questions that you have as I go through, please just unmute yourself and ask the question. I'm an open book and I love answering questions. So as I go through, don't hesitate to ask. But we are going to get into direct mail. So I'm going to get into direct mail, but I'm going to still talk about just direct to seller marketing in general, because the approach that I take, you can use it for any type of marketing. Okay, it's really just related to how do you identify and find the most motivated sellers, and how do you market to them. Okay, direct mail, we'll get into that on that specific niche, but the strategy is the same. I'm also going to go into how to pull from the county records. Okay, so I'm going to try to go through, there's a lot of content here, and going into the county records is going to be very much like, I'm going to show you exactly how you can get tax liens, firehouses, water and sewer liens, in the proper way to do it. Okay, because a lot of investors will go and pull the list from just a general like list pulling service, but it's not all that great, and I'll explain why. So we're going to go through that. We'll talk about top strategies, and then we'll go through diagnosing deal flow challenges. All right, so there's a ton of information, but I think we can do it. All right. So just to start off, why I like direct mail and why I started that approach when I originally started real estate investing. Now, this was really important to me because, one, I was working full time, so I was like, I'd rather spend my time and energy on fielding calls rather than spending a lot of time making calls. Okay, so I had very little time, but I had some money to play with. And when I started, my wife and I would write letters. Our goal was 500 a week. That was our goal. And we would do that consistently. Every single week, we'd write 500 letters.
Did you
And
handwrite these?
So we would print them, but we would handwrite the envelopes,
Got
and
it.
inside we'd sign. So every envelope was
Wow.
handwritten. So our hands were killing us. So anytime, but that's how we got started because, like you said, it was expensive, or it is expensive, but the strategy works really well. So direct mail I love because it is the only marketing approach that has staying power. And when I say that, I mean that people can hold on to your mail piece for years, and they can call you back after you mailed to them years ago. And those are, if you ever get that call, within the first 5 seconds, those are the most exciting ones because you just have to ask one question. Because once they call you, you can see, I haven't sent them mail for a few years. You say, why did you decide to give me a call today? And as soon as you ask that question, it's like, oh, this happened. Here's the situation. And you already know those are like, honestly, they're the best deals because they held on to your letter for a long period of time. Time and circumstance change and they called you back. So that's the first thing that I love. The second thing is you know that you're getting in connection with the people that you have identified that there's some sort of distress. Okay, so we pull all these lists, we identify they have tax liens, they're on a driving for dollars list, they have a code violation, whatever the case may be. There's signs of motivation. And with direct mail, you are literally sending right to them. They're going to receive that mail piece and open it up, so you get a hold of them right away. So, and as you mentioned, direct mail is expensive. So we want to make sure we have a good strategy and know the right people to market to and not just market to everyone. So I'll go through that kind of strategy. All right, so the action plan. So here are some good KPIs to kind of think about. And this is related to any type of direct to seller marketing. Okay, so whether it's direct mail or anything else. I always recommend that you start with a population of about 125,000 to about 175,000 in population. Starting at that size is going to give you an adequate number of people and properties to be able to market to. Okay, and I believe the next slide we're going to go through all the different types of lists that you can pull. Okay, because from that population size, you're going to start then pulling lists. And as we go into the list, I'll show you exactly what they are. But you should generate about 10 to 12,000 leads from that list. Now, you are not marketing to all those. Don't get nervous on that. This is the whole process because you want to make sure that you pull all of those records, get to about 10 or 12,000 records, and then you want to narrow down into your top quality prospects. And when I say that, I mean that there are no two prospects that are created equal. Somebody that might have is an absentee owner that has tax liens, the property is vacant, and maybe they bought it, they have a lot of equity in their house. That is a much better lead than somebody that just has equity in their house, right? So we want to make sure that we focus on those top quality prospects. And with a population size or a number of leads from 10 to 12,000, generally you can sift that down to about 2,000 to 2,500 high quality records. And that's what you want to focus on. Okay. I can talk about layering different strategies later on, but kind of that's the goal. From there, we want to make sure we're consistent. Okay. The next thing is creating a marketing strategy and marketing plan where we are consistent. And we want to look at a horizon of 6 months. Okay. So no matter what you do, cold calling, text messaging, direct mail, door knocking, anything, you want to make sure you are consistent for 6 months. And people are going to be like, man, that's a long time. It is a long time, but this is a business and you need to build deal flow. And deal flow comes through consistency. And that is literally the number one most important thing for any type of marketing. And I always say poor marketing, bad marketing done consistently will get many more results than good marketing done inconsistently. I can't underplay that. That's so important. So if you take nothing out of this conversation, that's the number one most important thing is if you want to do direct to seller marketing, you need to be consistent for at least 6 months before you can say it does not work. Okay. Um, okay, so data. So what are the lists that you need to pull to be able to identify, to be able to pull these lists? So I break them down into general lists and niche lists. And general lists are those that are very easy to pull from any type of list provider, and they're usually larger lists. Okay, so, and if you guys don't know what any of these are, please just speak up. Okay, I'm happy to explain them. Absentee owners, high equity, tired landlords, trust lists, senior lists, those are all general lists. Okay, those are very broad kind of lists that are going to probably yield you the highest number of people on those lists. And then you have niche lists. Okay, these could be available on list building services, and I can get into and show you a little bit about Envelo too on how you can do this. But niche lists are going to be smaller lists and might take you a little bit more time to find. So driving for dollars, tax liens, vacants, pre-foreclosures, related party. So if you guys don't know what a related party is, this is an amazing list. This is a list where you look, and I'm assuming, are most people in Washington? Yeah?
A lot of people are. There's some around
Okay.
everybody, people are around the country too, but
Okay.
a lot of
I'll
people.
give an example. I'll give an example of Washington since, you're probably, the cost of a home is probably very similar to Massachusetts where I am. It's very high. So we look for properties that have sold within, that have not sold or have sold within the last 6 years for $20,000 or less. So obviously, no transactions really gonna, that's not gonna really happen in your market or my market unless there's, it's an intra-family transfer, and they're getting ready and prepared for estate planning purposes. So when you find related party and it's an absentee owned property, that's a very, very high quality list. Um, Code violations, state liens. I'll show you how to pull state liens. Zombie properties, so pre-foreclosures that are vacant, and probates, inherited, and deceased. Okay, these are all different types of lists that you can pull. Let me see. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit into some data to show you how to pull different types of lists. If you guys have questions as I go along, again, don't hesitate to ask. But I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. So the first thing that I want to show you is just Envelo. And whether or not you use Envelo or you use any other type of list building platform, they all kind of are somewhat similar. So when you're in Envelo, I'm just going to show you one list that you can pull. So let's just say I want to pull a list in Andover, Massachusetts, and we have these presets, so I can click on absentee owner. Okay, so already it's creating a filter that's, a living area of 850 to 3,200 square feet. I like this range because this is the typical range of what buyers usually want to purchase to live in for this area, and I bet it's probably very similar to your area as well. We're looking at single family and multifamily 2 to 4. If I didn't want multifamily 2 to 4, I don't need that. I can just do single family. We want 6 or more years of ownership. We don't want them to be owner occupied, and we want individuals. So you can see in my town, there is 99 properties. So you can do that, and you can see we have all of these different options. Absentee transfers, pre-foreclosures, related parties, small houses, tired landlords, trust, unknown equity, vacant properties, and zombie properties. We also have AI driving for dollars. So we scan Google Street View images and identify distress signs, and we can validate and pull that in as well, so you don't actually have to drive for dollars. So this is just an example of how you can pull a lot of these lists that I went through here. Okay. The other thing that I want to show you is when we're talking about data in lists. And I'm going through data and you're like, man, I thought we were talking about direct mail. you're going to be spending a lot of money with direct mail, as we already mentioned. We want to make sure our data is sound. Whether you spend money or you spend time, you spend a lot of energy on the records that you're pulling in. So I'm always a very big advocate of spending some time on pulling your data, unless you're going out and you're using like a predictive list company, which they're a bit more expensive. So I'm just not sure if that's kind of what you're interested in doing. But the first thing is pulling lists here is very easy, or any list building service. You can pull your main lists. For lists like tax liens, code violations, state liens, even water and sewer liens, and even fire damaged houses, I always recommend that people go directly to your county to pull these lists. And the reason why is because you might be able to pull tax liens from different platforms. You can actually pull it from Envelo. But the thing is that there's no platform that will tell you how much somebody owns in tax liens. And when I show you some examples, you'll be able to very quickly identify that if you had you pulled tax lien from a list building service, you will likely be marketing to a lot of people that maybe owe $20 or had a tax lien 4 years ago because they transposed a number in their check and they paid that off immediately, but it's still showing they have a tax lien. So you think you're spending money on really high quality lists and properties, and that's not the case. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And I'm telling you, this has probably made me the most amount of money is by doing it this way in this process and taking a little bit more time and energy. But you'll see how good these lists are. So anytime that you make a request to your county, and I'm not sure, everybody's a little bit different. In Massachusetts, we do it by town. Okay, so the Treasury Department is by town. Other states, they're by county level. Okay, so I'll show you exactly. What you need to do is you need to submit a FOIA request. It's a Freedom of Information Act request. And I have a little link down here, which I'll give you guys all these slides. This link will take you to a website that has the FOIA request for every single state. So you find your state, click on it, and here's kind of the outline of exactly how you need to send it. I don't send a letter, I send an email. So I'll show you exactly what that looks like, which is over here. So I would go into, so if I want to do a tax lien list, what you need to do is you need to find the treasurer, okay? So I would come into here and I would say Andover, Mass. Treasury Department. Click on here, and then on the right-hand side, here is the treasurer. Click on email, and here's his email. And you can just FOIA request for tax liens. And then I would literally just copy all this in.
This is super interesting. Do you think wholesalers are using this method?
I don't think many people use it and are doing it this way, because if you do not present it in this way and send an actual FOIA request in this outline, they do not have to reply to you.
No.
And I'm going to show you an exact. I have another link here. So I did send this to Michael, and it was literally 10 business days from today. So you can see under Massachusetts Public Records, I'm requesting the opportunity to inspect and obtain copies of public records that a list of homeowners who are delinquent in paying their property taxes. For each record, please indicate at least the person's full name, property address, and tax delinquent amount. Also, it would be preferable to receive this information in Excel format, but if that's not possible, you can email it to me in another electronic format. They have, in Massachusetts, you have 10 days. They have 10 days to get back to me by law.
Wow.
Okay? So, two things. You will very likely, if you send this to a treasury inbox and it's not going to the treasurer, you will likely get somebody that says, I have no idea what this is, we don't have it. That is not true at all. You have the wrong person. The treasury needs to know who's not paying their taxes. So they have a list of an AR report of like who owes money to them. So they 100% have this. This is all public knowledge. They have to provide it to you. The other thing is that you will likely have to follow up with people. And I'll show you here. I said, I just followed up yesterday, May 28th, 11:51. It has been 9 business days since my FOIA request. Again, under the Massachusetts Public Records Act, you have 10 business days to reply to my request. I would appreciate it if you could get back to me today or tomorrow. That was at 11:51. 11:53, he replies. Apologies for the delay. Attached is our most recent tax title advertisement. We're getting ready to prepare another one in the next few weeks. Please let me know if you are looking for anything else. So he did get back to me immediately, and he sent me.
So how much delinquent are you looking for when you get this list?
Good. Excellent question. So I'm going to go through that as well.
Okay.
So he sent me this list. This is not the list that I wanted, but still it's a good list. This is a dated one. So this is from last year, and he's preparing the new one for this year. This is the tax taking list. They're preparing to take these properties from the homeowners because they've been delinquent for so long. So you can see this person here, here's their name, here's their address, right? Here's another one, name, here's the address here, here's how much they owe. The balance is from 2023. But then you have other people, $94, right? $24. Like those people, they're likely not going to be they're probably just going to pay that. I don't think that that's going to be a big deal. Some companies here's another one, $69, right? It's a company. People transpose numbers, people get these bills. They're probably not going to take the property back because of it. $1.37, right? I would not market to these people. But this is what you're getting from other service companies, right? If you pull this list of tax delinquents, you will likely be mailing to these. And I'm going to show you, I'll show you the comparison. So these are all from 2023. If I were to go into Envelo and I did, let me clear this out. And then let me search ownership, tax delinquent year, 2023. And then I'm going to apply. Oops, let me get off of that. Apply. 537 records it's showing me from a tax delinquent of 2023, which basically is all these ones. These go back to 2023. So I probably have 20 records here. I have 573 here. So, and if I did pull up one of these records, so if I copied this address, 215 Salem Street, Andover, Mass, and clicked on it, and I scroll down, tax delinquent year, 2023. So we have all the records, and Velo is properly showing it, but what we don't have as data companies as we don't remove them. We're still going to show that they owe taxes from that year. So you could very well be marketing right to those 500 and something records, when in actuality, it's only really maybe 15 records or properties that really have tax delinquencies. Okay, that's why it's so important to go here, is the data is so much better. You're spending way less money, you're spending less energy on higher quality records. And then going back to your point, so I'm going to show you the list that I did want to receive. Let me show you this one because I think it comes through a little bit better. So this is what I would expect to receive, and I followed up with him and I said, I'm actually looking for the tax delinquent list, not the tax taking list. Tax delinquent list is anybody that owes the town money, whether or not you're doing a tax taking or not. So this one you can see, and this is an old report, by the way, so this goes back to 2015. So it shows you the year the delinquency started. It shows you the parcel number. It shows you the address, the owner, the principal, interest, fees, per diem, and title due. So title due is the one I focus on. So if you want to get very specific, you can do it one of two ways to pull these lists. One, you can say, okay, I just want to, you can arbitrarily say, I want, 10 people that owe $10,000 or more. Okay. What I tend to do this is a little bit more specific, if for those of you that like to be very specific. So I say median home sale price in my town, let's say it's $800,000. And then the assessment, the tax assessment, they charge, I just looked it up, $12.49 per thousand. So average home, $800,000 times 12.49 tells me that the average home is about $10,000 a year. I take half of that and I say, okay, if anybody on this list is greater than 5,000, I'm going to put them on my list. And then even more so, if they have it from like many years ago, I'm also going to put them on the list because they're getting close to the tax taking time frame. So you can see there's a list of people here. This is a smaller list. This one you can see it's 3 pages. There's some people there's a lot of people $1,000, $1,800, $1,500. I think there's 400. So you could probably remove more than half of the people from this list. But if you didn't have this list, you'd be marketing to a lot of these people here, thinking that it's a really good candidate, but it's not. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions there?
Yeah, oh my gosh. I can see how you could spend a lot of money marketing to people that you shouldn't be. So,
Yep,
yeah, that's a great
exactly.
tip. Thank you for showing us
Of
that.
course. Just a couple other lists. You can also go to your fire department and you can email the fire chief. And again, you use a FOIA request. Same exact request, you just change the wording. Instead of you want a list of tax liens, you want a list of fire damage properties or properties that they've gone out to for fire damage reasons. So here's an example list from Andover. I have the address, and you can see building fire, cooking fire, building fire. I probably wouldn't do the cooking fire. I'd probably do more of the building fire. In Massachusetts, if what I realized after the fact is if I requested this list from the town of or the city of Boston, Boston actually holds all town documents. And not only all town documents do they provide you this information, they also have an additional field, estimated value of damage. And they give it to you in Excel. So I literally go through and I just say, sort by damage. And I just sort all the way down. And I would take all the properties that either had $100,000 or more in damage. That's it. And then I'd start marketing to them. Very, very easy. But again, a lot of people do not know you can even do this. Last one I'll show you is water and sewer. So you might think you have to go to the DPW since they do that, but it's actually the Treasury Department as well. Treasury Department holds all of the accounts receivable. So this is where you would pull this. Make sure you do 2 separate FOIA requests, even though you're going to send a tax lien request to the Treasury Department, and you're doing a different one for the water and sewer. Okay. So that is pulling from the county. The last one that I wanted to show you is the state liens. I don't know if every state.
Justin,
Yeah,
on
please.
on the sewer and water, is it a different request in terminology that you're using?
Yeah, I would just say, please provide me with a list of water and sewer liens.
Okay.
Yep. So the last one is state liens. And this is a really cool one. This is another one I guarantee. I don't know anybody. I never ran across anybody else that was pulling from this list. So what you would do is just type in Massachusetts. Here we go. Massachusetts state lien list. Click on enter. And then let's see. No. Oh, state lien list. There we go. So businesses and individuals who owe more than $25,000 in taxes to Massachusetts. Okay, so these are people that owe the state more than 25,000. So if I click on this list and I say I want individuals, and let's go to Andover. Andover. There we go. Search. Okay. We have some people here. So we have people, but we don't know if they own property. And you can see how much they owe the state, right? So what I do is I go into the town. See, you can see, like, if you have a VA, this is good. If you want to do it yourself, I always love to know the process and understand it first. But and it's not a really big list. So Andover, Mass, and then assessor database. I'm going to go into here, assessor data. Okay, so this is basically the assessor database, all right, for Andover. So if I came over here, and it's going to be challenging because I'm sure there's a lot of people with the name Moore. So I'm going to go down here. So Quinlan, I'm going to go over here and say owner, Quinlan. Okay, so this person's name is Jeffrey Quinlan. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to make this larger. You can see right here, Jeffrey Quinlan. Okay, so very likely that person owns this property, 14 Avery Lane. If I click on it, I can see when they bought it, how much they bought it for, the assessment, all the general information. And then if I wanted to, I can again go back to here, and I can look at more details around this property. Estimated equity, last sale price matches the other one, and get all the details. Okay, so this is where you can kind of go one by one, have to cross-reference, but you can see that own pretty substantial amount of money to the state. Okay, any questions on that one?
What does it mean by money to the state exactly?
Taxes, potentially taxes. So state
Got
taxes
it.
that they.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, let's continue on here. All right, cool. So again, as I mentioned, you're going to pull your records. You're going to pull all those the lists that I mentioned before, whether through Envelo, through the county, through the state liens. You're going to bring those in to your database. Again, Envelo does that for you, so you can pull in your list into Envelo. And when you go into this, you can see how many lists that a record is on. So all of these can be just pulled right into here. So right now, this one's not on a list, but if you were to pull all the records, they're automatically added to a list. So if I wanted to go and say, okay, show me list count is greater than 1. Right, so these are all the records that are on greater than 1 list. And you can see this one's on AI driving for dollars. This one's on unknown equity. So this is where you can start pulling out your top quality prospects, because you can say, all right, show me list count is greater than 2. Now I have 45 records. So now let's see, greater than 1, and the list is any of driving for dollars. I know that's a really great list. I know that related party is a good list. I know vacants are a good list. Zombie properties, right? You can do all of these and say, okay, there aren't 2 properties and at least are on these records. So you can see now I have 11 out of all of my records. These are the top probably 1,200 records. Okay, and I have how many records? 16,000. So that's exactly how you hone in on your top quality prospects. It's that easy. Okay, so to give you kind of frame of reference, if you're just getting started, 2,500 records you want to start with, and you'll likely get probably about a deal every 2 to 3 months, I would say. And generally we see when you start doing direct-to-seller marketing, around the 3rd to 4th touch point is when you start to get your deal. And the reason is because people start to trust you when they see you continuing to market. You look much more legitimate if you just send 1 mail piece. And you're also having multiple conversations. Some people call off the first letter. You put them on a follow-up. You might have to call them back. Then the second batch drops. You're starting to talk to them. Now the first people are starting to get ready to need to sell. So most of your deals happen, like 80% of all deals happen on the follow-up. So that's also why the timing plays out that by the third to fourth touch or month that you're marketing is when you're going to score your first deal. Okay. If you're looking to scale your business, about 7,500 records is what you want to do. You'll get a deal a month. And then about 12,500 if you really want to dominate your market. Okay, and you'll get 1 to 3 deals per month on average, what we've seen on average. Okay. Okay, here are some top strategies. So as I mentioned before, consistency outperforms good marketing. Okay. Consistency is the absolute key. Mail every 4 to 5 weeks. Once somebody goes on my list, you can see we spent a lot of time on data, but you can see why data is so important. So once somebody gets onto my list, I will never remove them off my list unless they tell me, don't market to me ever again, or they sell their home. Okay, and the cool thing with Invelo, if they sell their house, it automatically gets moved to lost property and it gets kicked off your marketing automatically. So you don't have to waste money, which is, we have some customers that do literally millions of dollars in mail and it saves them tens of thousands of dollars a year just for that one little feature. The other thing too is, so I say mail every 4 to 5 weeks except for time-based situations like pre-foreclosures. Pre-foreclosures, I would hit them much faster in a shorter period of time because the auction date is likely going to vary for each property. So as soon as they get a pre-foreclosure recording, you want to send a letter out, and maybe a week or maybe 2 weeks later, you want to send another one. Okay, so you want to do those much faster. Start with postcards. Starting with postcards is going to save you a ton of money. And the reason why you want to start with postcards is because direct mail, you can send first class mail or standard class mail. Standard class mail is like 26 cents cheaper. It's much, much cheaper. However, you do not get returned mail. And that's a very important piece, is because if you send out mail and you don't know, and you're definitely going to get returned mail. And if you don't know which ones are returned mail, you're going to continue to send over and over to the same people and it's never going to get to them. So if you do postcards, your cost is going to go way down because it's postcards versus letters. And postcards are always sent first class. And that first class stamp for postcards is much cheaper. So it's going to save you money and you're going to get to understand exactly who's going to fall off your list before you want to start even going to letters, if you want to go to letters. Okay. Some top products that we're seeing that work really well right now. Offer mailers are working really well, and those are included in snap packs. Snap packs are like the tear away, like the 3 sides, you have to tear them away and there's it looks like a check is inside. So Open Letter has those as well, but the offer mailers work really well. We basically look at the Zillow estimated value and we take a percentage off of that to provide them with an offer. And you can make that adjustment however you want of where that pricing would be. But that really gets the phone calls coming in. And then professional letters for probate. Okay. Top performing strategies. So there's 2 strategies that I like to say is when you're marketing to your prospects, you want to actually have a campaign. Don't look at it like one mail piece at a time or the same mail piece every single time. Different people respond different to every single, even mail piece. So for instance, I would never, although I'm not the avatar of who you're sending mail to, I would never look at a postcard or a professional letter. I would smell that a mile away coming as kind of junk mail. But anytime I receive an invitation style envelope that has handwriting on it, I always, even if I have a feeling that it might be junk mail, I still have to open it because in the case that it isn't, I want to see what's going on. So different types of mail pieces will provide different results. So when we create a strategy, we're always varying the mail piece, the conversation, the copy with the seller, and how we're presenting it. So that's really important. The other piece is for those, as I mentioned, like pre-foreclosures, vacants, tax liens, like the get speed to lead on those. So as soon as a pre-foreclosure recording happens, you are basically sending mail out the door. And that's the other cool thing with Envelo is you can identify pre-foreclosures and you can select that you want to have auto ad on. So what that means is basically anytime a property comes in and they're a pre-foreclosure in this area, automatically add it into my prospects database. And then you can have your marketing automated too that says anytime there's a new prospect that has a pre-foreclosure, send mail out the door or send a text or an email, whatever it is. And you are getting the first person in front of them. Um, any questions on that? Okay. This kind of goes into what we said before. So if you have a smaller budget, use high quality niche targeted lists. Stick to postcards or handwritten letters to keep costs down and response rates high. If you have a mid-range budget, run multi-touch sequences, 3 to 5 pieces to build recognition and trust. Timing and consistency are key. And then large budget, you can go, full throttle, branded mailers. You can have different, campaigns running at the same time. So if you have like high quality lists, you want to send every 4 weeks, and then your low quality lists, if you even wanted to send that like once a quarter, right? You could send mailers once a quarter to the low quality lists. And just to go a little bit further on the omnipresence, if you have a full list of, remember I said you're pulling about 10 to 13,000 and from there you're going to 2,500. Even with the full list of 10 to 13,000, a lot of people will still cold call all of those because you can get through cold calling or use a cold caller that can rip through 13,000 actually pretty quickly. But and that doesn't cost as much money. But with direct mail, so while you're having a cold callers call your list of 13,000, you're hitting the top 2,500 with direct mail. So now they're seeing you from cold calling, from a call, and from direct mail. And not that I'm advocating it, but if you are already doing text messaging or you feel comfortable doing that, layering that onto direct mail will 100% increase your response rates as well. Again, there's TCPA requirements and regulations around that, so you make sure you have to be comfortable doing that. But when you send a text message that follows a direct mail piece that says, hey, I just sent you a letter in the mail, I just want to make sure you received it, your response rates will skyrocket because you're talking about the mail piece that you sent and it seems very specific to them and it doesn't come across at all like a kind of a marketing ploy. Okay.
That's so smart. That's great.
Yeah, so I used to do that with ringless voicemail. Ringless voicemail is definitely a little bit more challenging to do nowadays. And that would honestly take my response rates from maybe a half to 0.75% when I'm just sending direct mail to honestly over 10%. It was
Wow.
ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Awesome.
Here's just some examples that we have of just different types of campaigns. So 6-touch proven mix. So it cycles through postcards and letters and professional letters, handwritten letters, postcards. So you can just see there's a 4-touch mailer or campaign. So you can see just the various options. Okay, and then the last piece is just, let's say you're marketing for 4 to 6 months, you're not getting a deal, or rather should say that you're not getting responses. Okay, because when you talk about a deal, then you go into, okay, how many have you purchased properties, direct to seller marketing? Are you asking the right questions? It goes through your sales ability. So if you're not getting really good responses, then it's only a couple of things that could be wrong. So the first thing is like data. So how are you pulling the data? If you follow what I just explained, then I know your data is going to be sound. So if you follow this process, the data is going to be really good. But if you don't, if you're just pulling an absentee list and mailing to it, like Michael before, you were saying that I don't know what list I should start with. So a lot of people will just start with like an absentee list and just mail to it. But that, and if you're only doing 2,000, you're only getting in front of 2,000 people that probably a lot of other investors are spending a lot of energy there. So you might have to like, hone in on your data and really look at kind of the layering strategy that we just talked about. The other thing, as I mentioned, the sales ability. So, do you know the questions to ask? Do you know how to spot a deal? When I got started, I probably missed probably 20, 30 deals because I just didn't know how to spot them or what questions to ask. So as you learn, you get better, and your sales ability will increase. And then marketing mastery. So just making sure you're honing in and having a good marketing strategy and you're being consistent. So these are really just the three pieces. If you're not getting good results, it can only be one of these three. And you can pretty much identify that pretty easily just going through the systematic process of where you're kind of losing people or not getting any calls. Okay, I think that's it. So just to let you guys know, so we my companies work with Project RE, and so we have. If you guys go to openlettermarketing.com/Project RE, that is my direct mail company, and you use Project RE, you will get 10% off your first order using that discount code. And then, and Shannon, we can probably change this too to
Okay,
Project RE.
great.
But if you guys go to Envelo app, and that you can also get access to Envelo, which I shared with you. Um, but yeah, any questions?
That was awesome. I'm trying to think through where like my hiccups would be, and I feel like picking out which mail pieces to send because it feels like I know the data is important, but it also feels like what you send matters. So like
Hmm.
does open letter marketing, I saw you had different examples. Does it say like this is the best kind of specific pieces in this order that we found work?
Yeah. So what we do with Open Letter, anytime anybody works with us, we have marketing coaches. We are not order takers that just fulfills marketing direct mail for you.
Got it.
That's not the objective with Open Letter Marketing. So when you call in, we're going to ask you questions on what's your strategy, how long have you been doing it, is this your first time? Because you'll likely get the same education that I went through this with you to make sure your mindset, you have a good expectations coming into it, and we're going to formulate a strategy for you. And I say that because you could say, well, I'm just looking for single family homes in this area. How different could it be? Well, it actually can vary. What's your strategy? Are you just wholesaling? Are you also a real estate agent? Do you want more leads coming in the door because you can monetize it in different ways? If
Mhm.
so, we'll get you the most amount of, the objective is to get you the most amount of calls because anybody that's interested in selling, whether on market or off market, you can monetize that. But if you're only a wholesaler and it's just you and you want just quality calls coming in, that's a little bit of a different strategy. So there's different things that we can play off of, and not every one strategy works the same for everyone. So it's very specific, and we have enough experience with working with so many people that we kind of can ask these questions and create or formulate a campaign for you.
Nice. Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions about direct mail? Anything you've tried and it hasn't worked? You want to ask about things you've done that maybe were or weren't successful and get any tips? Michael, are you talk? You're on mute. You're trying to talk, Michael.
Yeah, I hit the mic 3 times and it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the materials that you're using, is the verbiage all preset, or do you have um, all the content
Oh yeah.
set?
Yeah, we have everything set. You can always make alterations though if you want. Because like some areas, for instance, when I was marketing in Boston, my copy had to be different because people did not like developers
Mm.
because developers would come in and change the historic nature of the city. And a lot of people that had lived there for a long period of time, they hated them. So I changed my copy to specifically talk about that and say, I want to make sure that I maintain the historic nature of the neighborhood. So yeah, you can change it to whatever you want.
Okay.
That's great. All right. Any other questions? Well, this was super informative, and I definitely want to try it out.
Awesome. That's good.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Um, I was gonna ask one question I had specifically, like, let's say I want a certain like geographic area, uh,
Hmm.
but then can I sort for like a certain type of property that I want? Maybe I want this size or I want that lot size. Like, can I pick that
Oh
stuff and
yeah.
let's build off that? Okay.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we have filters pretty much for everything.
Okay. Awesome.
So you can absolutely do that.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask also, tell us a little bit more about that driving for dollars AI thing. Thought that was cool. Oh, and Bree also has a question. So,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so the AI driving for dollars, basically we're just looking at all Google Street Views in your designated area, and we're scanning through and identifying means of distress. So bad roofs, windows, siding, grass, tall grass, driveways, anything like that that looks like there is distress, and we basically identify it from a 0 to 100 score. 100 being really distressed, 0 not being any distress. So you can have a sliding scale of being like, I just want to see the properties that are like 80 to 100, right?
okay.
Really distress.
Yeah.
And you can pull those records, we'll analyze them and bring them into your database.
Great. All right. Why don't you go Bree first?
Okay, I have two questions. So the first one is around when you do get someone on the phone, do you have scripts that you use? Because I feel like that would be I'd I'd get someone on the phone and I'd be like, I don't know what to say. Can I buy your house?
Yes. You have no idea. I was so nervous answering my first call. Like I didn't even want to take it. But yes, I can send you guys scripts on what I have, and I go through, and it's a pretty logical format. Is like, why are you looking to sell? Tell me a little bit about it, and then you can go a little bit deeper. But the biggest thing is like identifying the 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 property condition and their motivation. Those are the two biggest things that you need to identify. And the biggest thing with motivation is they will never tell you the real reason that you want. You have to literally ask them, and you have to go like 4 or 5 layers deep, because they could just come across and be like, yeah, I'm just deciding to move out of town. Okay, that's really not the reason. And if you keep on asking them in different ways, you'll find that their sibling passed away, their kid moved away as well, they're there by themselves, they need to get out of the house for X, Y, and Z. Like it's such a pattern when you go through this. So my script will go through all that and explain it.
Okay, cool. The other question that I have is I've seen a couple houses that um just driving around different neighborhoods that I can tell no one is in. Can you like, so it wouldn't really make sense to mail something to that house. So what would be the best way to go about contacting or finding that the person that owns it?
Yep, great question. So the first thing that I would do is I would either go into the assessor department, or like you could do it either the assessor is the freeway. If you have Envelo, you can type in the address and you can look at the owner and their address, because we get our information from the assessor, and the assessor has to have the mailing address. Otherwise, it's going to have a lot of tax liens if nobody's paying for it and it's not getting there. So even though it's vacant, there's likely going to be a separate address or like an absentee address. So that's the first thing. If you can't find that, then the other thing is skip tracing. So again, in Invalid, you can skip trace. So you can find phone numbers, emails, and additional addresses of where they might live. And you can also find additional homeowners to the property if there is any. So those are a couple of ways.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Tim.
Hey there. I came on to the call a little bit later. And so maybe you guys went over this, maybe not. I am running into an issue where I'm working with individuals and they're having a hard time finding buyers. I'm wondering the program and the list that you guys briefly mentioned, is there a way to scrub basically all the counties, or let's say the local counties, to find all of the buyers that have bought within the last, let's say, 2 or 3 years, and
So, Kat,
create some kind of like a list essentially of buyers?
good question. Like other investors? What do you mean by
Yes.
buyer? Okay.
Yeah.
Envelo doesn't have that now, but we are working with a data company that is going to be able to provide that to us. And the cool thing is that it's not just going to be a list of buyers, which I think there's some other platforms you can do that as well. But the thing that we're doing is we're going to be able to display the buyers and give you a rating of how much they're willing to pay. When I say willing to pay, it's like if I have two investors and I see, and I would do this all the time. So I'll tell you my method. If I go
Mm.
into a new area and I really haven't done any deals there in the past, I will actually go into I went into the back end public like MLS, and I looked at all the sales that happened, and I'll basically look for businesses that purchase properties, and I'll take a look at those, and I'll take a look at what they bought and how much they bought it for. And a lot of times you can see that they bought it and then they resold it. So I'll give you an exact example that I had. I was buying a single family home, a small single family home in a really high end town. And I knew the opportunity was to do tear down new construction. So I found a bunch of builders that went in there, and they had similar properties that they purchased. Literally, some of them were exactly similar. And some of them bought those properties for like 400,000, and other people bought them for like 300,000. My first phone call was to the person that bought it for 400,000 because I could
Mhm.
wholesale for a lot more money. So that's what I'm talking about, is how we're scoring on their
Okay.
ability to pay more. So we're going
Okay.
to be comparing to see what other buyers have purchased similar properties for and scoring them, so you know where to put your efforts and who to call first.
Would that list also be able to distinguish what kind of buyers looking for, meaning multifamily, high-end, quick flip, the studs, just based on different both remodel and price point?
We will be able to identify the type of property that they purchased in the past. So
Oh, okay.
we won't be able to identify like how much renovation that they did, but we can pull up a
Mhm.
property and show you these are the properties that they purchased and here's what they purchased them for. And then you can go into those properties and you can kind of look at the analysis of like all the property details that we have.
Okay. But that's coming later, potentially later.
Yeah, we don't have that right now, but that's something that we're working with a data provider to bring that data in.
Okay.
But right now
Okay,
you could
cool. Thank
go,
you.
yeah, you could search last sale properties, probably in the last, what I would do is I would look over the last year, year and a half, and look
Hmm.
for all the properties that sold and try to look for any like business names that look like, builders or real estate or whatever it is,
Hmm.
to see what they bought it for.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep,
That's
you're
awesome.
welcome.
That'll be a cool feature. Um,
Yeah.
Tim, I've also heard people say they find and this is not a tech way to do it, but maybe you could help an interim until Envelo gets this set up. Find a title rep that's investor friendly and then ask them for a list of people who have purchased under LLCs and then resold. And then you can call that list or ask them
Okay.
for
No,
referrals.
that's good. That's a good idea. I've heard of that. I just forgot about it, but that's a good
Yeah.
That's right.
good idea, good reminder.
You're a title state. We're an attorney state, so we can't do that.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, right.
the other way, maybe real estate agents that work potentially with real estate investors. That might be another option. Um,
Yep, that's a good one.
but
Any
Yeah.
last questions for Justin before we let him go? Bree's hand's still up, but I think she already asked her question. Um, I was gonna say, is there any thing else that you want to tell us about Envelo really quick before we go that you
I mean,
didn't
there's
touch on? I mean, it does a lot
yeah,
of stuff, but if
it's a
there's
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so you can see like the list builder, the power of the list builder, it can do so many different types of filters. I just didn't have time to get into it. The prospects database, I showed you how to filter very easily and stack those lists, but it also has marketing campaigns that you can automate. So you can actually, when you pull a list, you basically never have to pull that list again because you can enable auto add and it will pull all new records that meet your criteria
Oh,
into
cool.
the database. So you literally will have to pull it once and it will automatically feed into your prospects database. And if you have your marketing campaigns set on auto add into marketing campaigns, any new prospect that comes in will automatically be sent out with marketing campaign. And then it has like lead pipelines, so you can manage your lead pipeline. It has deal pipelines, has analytics and workflows to automate those kind of mundane tasks that you do over and over again.
That's awesome. I actually have one last question of logistics. So, do you set up a different phone number for people to call you when they're a lead? And so that if you know your phone's ringing, or maybe you have a VA or whoever's answering the phone knows that, hey, you have to answer this call. Like, how do you do that? Or do you
Yeah,
just answer the phone?
good. That's one of my favorite questions. That is another like issue that's how I had it set up long ago. Is I had a different phone number for every list.
Hmm.
But that's one of the reasons why we started in Velo is the reason why you have a phone number or people have multiple phone numbers is because they don't have a database. Their list builder is different than their CRM.
Mm.
So they don't know, their CRM doesn't know what list it came from. It just knows it's in the CRM.
Mm.
Within Velo, we can tell you where it came from, what list or lists that it's from. So we can literally tell you from when you close the deal, we can then show you these are the lists, the best list that you have. This is what's producing you the most amount of deals. So you
Nice.
don't need phone numbers. You just need one phone number, and you can get all that data within Avella.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Justin. This was awesome. This was great. And yeah, I'm just so impressed with all the stuff that Envelo can do and how you've set up open letter marketing. So thanks
Awesome.
for
Thank you
coming
so
on.
much.
Yeah, I
Thank
appreciate
you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. So I'll send you the slide deck
it. Okay.
that has all the links, and then I'll also send you the script that I mentioned to Bree.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Okay.
Cool.
Well, thanks everybody. This is recorded if you ever want to go back and listen to the beginning again or see some of the other parts we talked about if you missed the beginning of the call. All right,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank
Appreciate it,
you.
Shannon. Bye.
Bye.